welcome to the meeting.
Morning, Chair.
Koliso, can you flag the agenda? I'll then ask us to observe a moment of silence for meditation or prayer. Thank you very much. Can we note apologies, Koliso?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members, and to our guest. Chairperson, I received an apology from Memo Hutu. She's going to join us late. Otherwise, there's no other apologies, only her. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to, can I then get the mover for the adoption of the agenda? Today we'll be dealing with the finalizing the draft A list. Can I then get the mover for the adoption of the agenda?
Move, Chair.
Mr. Teki moves. Can I get seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Malachi. Let me take this opportunity to welcome our legal team, both the state law advisor and the department and parliamentary legal services, and appreciate their, their availability to take us through and assist us in finalizing this bill. In the last meeting, there were issues that needed to be resolved, which both the department and the state law advisors and parliamentary legal services was supposed to look at them, and I'm now going to allow them to present those issues as we finalize our A list. Legal Services Parliament.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairperson, and to all on the platform this morning. Thank you very much. Chairperson, what I propose to do this morning is to go through the A list with the amendments that we've incorporated. And after we go through the A list with the amendments that we've incorporated, I can go through a list of items that we've discussed and that was not incorporated in the A list. I will ask Kaliswa, please, if you could flight the A list that was circulated to members. Please, Kaliswa.
Okay, let me get it.
Lisa, let me see if I can do it. I see you've given, I've got rights. Just give me a second. Is my screen visible to all?
Yes.
Okay, let me start. On clause 2, so members will recall that the Honourable Masuta requested that we rework clause 2, and we were in agreement at the end of our discussions. So with regards to the amendments to the A list, we've worked as a team, the State Law Advisor, together with the department and myself, and we've incorporated what you can see on the screen there in the yellow. So in accordance with the Honourable Masuta's proposal, we've included the words notwithstanding the provisions of this Act. And so that is the addition and the insertion that we've inserted there. Chairperson, I'm just going to go through the insertions that we've made since our last meeting. I don't want to duplicate, and then we can have a discussion afterward.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. On clause 15, on page 13, in line 29, after the words council, to insert as determined in terms of a job evaluation system approved by the board. So that is the insertion on this clause that the legal team has agreed to. Clause 32 on page 18, from line 2, to omit subsection 1 and to substitute the following subsection. A MEC or MMC or his or her delegate must ensure through oversight compliance with this Act in relation to a subsidy or social housing project. So we've inserted the terms through oversight to tighten up that clause. Chairperson, clause 39, I'd like to get back to clause 39 in the discussion after we go through the highlighted inserts. Clause 41, on page 20 in line 53, after the words must, we've inserted subsection, subject to subsection 42. And this is in line with the discussions that we had in the committee. On clause 80, we've inserted the following. On page 33, from line 34, to omit section 80 and to substitute the following section. 80, if an agent of a person is liable in terms of this Act for anything done or omitted in the course of that agent's activities on behalf of their principal, that principal is jointly and severally liable with that agent. And this clause speaks to the concern with the difficulty of having the words employee in there. So we've taken that out. Clause 88 is primarily punctuation for the most part. So on page 36 from line 52, we've omitted the words and we've put in a semicolon. On page 36, after paragraph H, we've inserted the following paragraph. We've noticed that the amendment bill did not make provision for the service of documents, as I explained in our last meeting. So we've inserted a clause there prescribing the manner of services of notice of any documents required to be served in terms of this Act. And then on page 36, in line with 4, to renumber paragraph I to be J. That's just as a consequence of the above. On page 36, in line 5, to omit council and to substitute board. On page 36, in line 6, to omit council and substitute board. This has not changed from our last meeting, Chairperson. It's not highlighted, but I'm just going through it. On page 36, in line 10, to omit council and substitute board, and on page 36, in line 12, to omit council and substitute board. So members can see that whatever has been inserted is highlighted in yellow for ease of reference. I'm going to just take the A list off the screen. And then I would just like to, if I may, Chairperson, just go through the concerns that were raised that are not addressed or have not been changed in the A list. And I'm going to invite my colleagues, because a lot of the concerns that were raised were not necessarily legal, but were policy issues. So I'm going to invite the department, and where necessary, the State Law Advisor, to just add. They will know when a particular provision needs their input. So there was a concern. So section 32, there was a concern that there wasn't enough, that the concern wasn't adequately addressed. And so we've done the insertion by adding the word oversight. Section 15, we have redrafted as highlighted.
Chairperson, there's nothing on the board.
Oh, no, sorry, no, this is not flighted. This is just notes that I have made in terms of the last meeting, what we need to address. So I'm just going to go to the concerns, if I may, on the particular sections that were discussed at the last meeting, and I'm going to invite my colleagues to provide a response to the committee in respect of those concerns. Chairperson, if I may. Section 29B, there was a question about whether this provision is prescriptive or just a guideline, and there was a proposal that we insert the word guideline. The legal team was of the view that section 29B is clear as it stands. The purpose and the objectives are clear, and we felt that it was not necessary to insert the words guideline.
Chairperson, I'm sorry to interrupt, Madam Chairperson. Chairperson.
Okay, I'm listening.
Can Carly flight the A list on the screen while the legal advisor speaks to it? Because we can't see anything on our screen. So I understand we're talking about section 29, but there's nothing on the A list to that end. Is Khaliswa able to please flight the updated A list?
Khaliswa.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
But Chair,
A list
the
is
legal
that one.
advisor, the legal advisor is saying, Chair, these are concerns, not necessary. She's done with the A list. So
No,
these are
but he's
legal concerns.
requesting, Honorable Sek, he requests that the A list must be on the screen. There is nothing wrong with that. The legal advice is talking about the concerns that are not incorporated in the A list.
Yes,
so probably
yes.
he wants to link the discussion with the A list, Honorable Sek. Can
Or
we
even
flight it?
even the bill.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Chair. But my view was that if we could flight the act itself.
Yes, I agree. I agree with Honorable Tseki. I agree with.
Okay, let's put the bill. Khaliswa.
Okay, Chair.
Proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. So as I indicated, section 29B, we were of the view that the section does not need the insertion of the word guideline. Section 31(1)(b), there was a concern that where construction had already commenced, and the issue was whether council, how do we limit council from dragging their feet with regards to the grant of the approval to recommence? and the proposal was to insert a minimum timeframe for council to revert regarding the recommencement approval. I'm going to ask my colleagues to come in here. Natasha, if you'd like to just explain to the committee what the rationale is for not being able to include a time frame.
Thank you, Lashmi. Good morning, honorable members.
Natasha, you're not audible.
Talk to the mic, Natasha.
Apologies. Good morning, honorable members. Chair, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Chairperson, like my colleague has indicated, there was a concern raised to say that a specific time frame should be included in terms of which that particular process should be concluded. Chairperson, the matter to be concluded is dependent upon submission of documents from that particular home builder and or developer. So once an application is submitted, that particular application will be processed. And if there is any documents outstanding, communication to that effect would be sent to that particular home builder. Now, it depends on how long that particular home builder submits the information, because some of that information, as an example, could either be geotechnical reports and or structural drawings and or structural calculations, etc. So as soon as the home builder submits, or home builder or developer submits that particular documentation, then the application, can be processed. But it would be impractical to put a time frame on the council to complete that application if the documentation has to be submitted by that particular home builder. In addition to that, Chairperson, currently the NHBRC has rules in terms of the current act, and in terms of that, it says that that application, there is a period of 90 days in which that application must be processed. Thereafter, the council can reject that application. However, Chairperson, it is dependent on the documents that has to be submitted, apologies, by the home builder and or developer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Natasha. And then the other issues?
Yes.
Mr.
Thank you, Chair. Thank
Okay,
you,
proceed.
Chairperson. Section 31(2)(b), there was a concern about the need to furnish guarantees, or the requirement for the furnishing of guarantees. And I think the idea being that the requirement of having to furnish guarantees may have the effect of hindering smaller businesses in the industry. Natasha, and clarity was sought in terms of what kind of guarantees required, how much is required, is cash permissible, and the like. I'm going to ask Natasha to come in again, please, Natasha. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaloshni. Chairperson, yes, in terms of the issue, in terms of the financial guarantee, this provision, Chairperson, is also currently in the Act as it stands. The purpose of that financial guarantee, and to give context to it, if a home builder commences with construction without enrollment of that particular home, it would then result in the NHBRC not being able to undertake inspections of what has been constructed by that particular home builder. What would then happen is that once that particular home builder, be it at once foundation is completed, alternatively it's at substructure, and the home builder then submits an application for a late enrollment, certain inspections would then be undertaken. What certain items that would be unable, to be inspected by the NHBRC at the particular time the NHBRC would then require a financial guarantee to mitigate the risk of what cannot be seen at that particular stage. That financial guarantee can be submitted either in the format of cash and or a bank guarantee or a guarantee submitted through an insurance company. The amount of the guarantee is determined after inspections has been conducted through our engineers. Chairperson, if there is no claim on that particular property and the warranty period has lapsed, the NHBRC would then, release that particular guarantee back to the home builder. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. If I may proceed, there was a concern about sections 25 and 28, and essentially it was whether the work done by a home builder or developer who's not registered in terms of sections 25, whether that work would be covered by the fund. Natasha, if you could please just speak to this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Salashni. In relation to section 28, the simple answer to this, Chairperson, is no, there would be no warranty attached to that particular home. However, the protection afforded to housing consumers, it's twofold. It's through the warranty and through the regulatory enforcement as provided for in terms of the bill. Just to give clarity and context, Chair, the reason why there would not be a warranty attached to it, because no enrollment fee has been paid by that particular home builder. However, that particular home builder would still be subjected to the enforcement provisions as provided for in terms of this bill, Chair, as it is a administrative non-compliance, and that particular home builder would then be subjected, to disciplinary action before the Compliance and Enforcement Committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Natasha. Section 25.6, there was a concern regarding the annual registration fees, and there was a proposal about whether the annual registration fee cannot be payable, due and payable only when work is procured. And I think the thinking was that these annual fees are paid and no work is procured, and so it almost doesn't seem fair to the builder. But just in terms of the rationale for this, I'm just going to ask Natasha one last time to please just explain the thinking behind the clause. Thank you. In terms of in practical terms, thank you.
Thank you, Salashni. Chairperson, every home builder that undertakes construction has to be registered with the NHBRC. And therefore, Chairperson, in order for every home builder and or developer to submit any tender for any contract, one of the requirements would be that in order to undertake construction, one has to be registered. And therefore, Chair, in order to obtain any work as a home builder, you have to be registered, and therefore it is necessary to update your registration annually. Chairperson, if we have to, I know a proposal or comment was made, Chair, to say that the home builder, would then submit his renewal application upon receipt of a particular contract. Chairperson, this would leave, can we say a lacuna? As Chairperson, it would then allow any home builder to then continue with construction without being registered in terms of this particular act. In terms of the particular act, Chairperson, and the proposed bill, and therefore, Chair, it is important that home builders are registered annually. Chairperson, also just to touch on the issue of fees, Chairperson, the annual registration fee is paid by the home builder. And as previously indicated, Chairperson, the NHBRC does not receive any funding from the fiscus as it stands. And therefore, registration fees and annual renewal fees, forms part of the income that is generated by the NHBRC. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Natasha. Chairperson, if I may, I'm going to move on to the last concern. There was a concern in section 39, the establishment of the non-profit company, and there was a proposal that this entire section be removed. I'm going to invite the department to just come in and explain the rationale for section 39. Thank you.
Thanks, Chairperson.
Is somebody there, Chair?
Yes, I thought.
Chair, can
Mr.
I
Maseko
perhaps
is
maybe
coming.
comment?
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, Chair, I'm in an area with poor connectivity, so I'll then comment based on the Chair. The point was that the department provide comment and justification or the rationale for why we included section 39. And section 39 is basically giving the minister on the minister after a request by the council that gets established or is established to then set up an MPO. And as the members of the committee are aware, it says the establish a non-profit company, and that non-profit company may only be established for the purpose of utilizing the company exclusively as a mechanism for risk-based insurance offerings relative to the structural integrity of the home, of a home. Now, Chair, the points, and I think we can provide this. I'm sure through the office we will be able to do that. But I think the issues that have justified that this clause must be included are the following. One, there's a number of structural and technical defects that have emerged in houses and residential properties in the period prior to 1994. So we're talking about a situation where we've got asbestos, we've got situations of geotechnical sinkholes, and this has resulted in both the state and government having to provide scarce resources to undertake rectification. That's in the pre-94. I think what it does is that it impacts, and it then says that as government, as the state, we have to use resources within our current budget to address certain inherited legacies of structural defects and structural inefficiencies and technicals. A good example of this would be Gauteng. In Gauteng, there's Futsong, where some 20,000 households need to be relocated. In certain areas, in Gauteng, for example, and other parts of the country, you'll know that there are particular issues around dolomite and where households were placed on dolomite. This is pre-94, and that's an inherited legacy of ours. In the period, the second point is that in the period post-1994, there's been a substantial number of structural and technical defects which have emerged post the 5-year NHBRC warranty expiring. This includes geotechnical, planning, and construction related. I think members of the portfolio will be aware around the issues of flood lines. So for example, with climate change, we have flood lines redetermination. We have a substantial amount of structural and technical issues that may and do arise. So for example, you'll know in the Eastern Cape that there's some 10,000 houses that now require rectification post the expiry period. But it's also important to note that the NHBRC came into effect 2000 onwards. Then there's also a situation where the recent emergency and disaster incidents have demonstrated what the impact of climate change will result. I don't think any one of us can do that, but we must, in the context of that, look at Section 39 as a proactive measure by the state and government to act in the best interest of citizens, more particularly poor households who do not have access to any insurance or risk-based measures to financially buffer them, particularly poor Black African households, and we've seen that. So I think what we need to be able to understand, Chair, is that this is nothing new. There's precedent for this. And what am I referring to? I'm referring to SASRIA. The issue is that when SASRIA was established, it was at that stage, and currently it's impossible for government or state to purchase any long-term warranty or reinsurance with particular reference to households and residential. SASRIA, remember, covers primarily business and economic. So I think taking a leaf out of the good practice of SASRIA, in the case of SASRIA, if it then provided some of the buffers for economic development, for the buffering of those households or those businesses that did not have, because the insurance industry and the risk mitigation industry did not provide for political insurance cover. And what we're speaking about here is a situation where, in the event of this becoming a issue that needs to be dealt with as a proactive measure, currently it allows the council together with the minister to then be able to establish the MPO. We're not saying it must be, but it's a proactive measure to be able to create that ability for the state to intervene. Now, if we do not allow for this, it opens, I mean, if it does not establish the NPO, it leaves the opportunity and door open if evidence and socioeconomic circumstances require, as was the case with SASRIA. I mean, I think in the case of SASRIA, for example, and I'm not saying that we're going to establish this, SASRIA started with a zero balance, and based on various legislative, regulatory provisions, is now able to is a global good practice, and we're saying we can look at this NPO as in consideration of a SASRIA residential based NPO, because that's what SASRIA is, and we can refer the committee to Section 6 of the Finance Act of 1994. It's been incorporated. Then there's also the Reinsurance of Material Damages and Losses Act of 56 of 1989. I think what we need to be able to understand, Chair, is that in the current context, especially in relation to housing and human settlements, we deal not only with the present, but we deal with the past and the future. And I think if we don't take cognizance of some of those transformational as well as developmental issues with regards to inequality, with specific reference to providing mechanisms to safeguard and encourage residential and property development, we run the risk that particularly poor Black, African, middle-income households will be left exposed, given the current economic climate, the current economic inequality, and all of those things. Because right now, in many instances, and this is my last point, in many instances, if you look at what happens in the climate and the emergency disasters that have occurred, a lot of the households are unable to respond to damages to their property because they don't have insurance. They can't afford it. But there's a select few that can. And in terms of stabilization, as well as providing for some kind of security of tenure as well as comfort, that's the rationale around this NPO. Thanks. Or the possibility of an NPO being established. And I think the most important thing is as I've indicated, a risk-based insurance opportunity to allow for those households or for the state to intervene where it's required. Thanks, Chair. I'm not sure if my colleagues have points to raise.
Masamula?
Thanks, Chairperson. I think I have nothing else to add. My apology earlier. I got kicked out. Thanks.
Legal team, this was the last issue.
That's correct, Chairperson.
Okay. Let's start with this issue, honorable members, with the explanation of the department, and I want to get the views of members. And then, because we had, I thought we have reached a conclusion that said that we are not saying the clause must not exist. We're saying at the time you need, because you talk about May, at the time you need to establish the NGO, you'd actually follow the right processes and establish that. And members are worried about creating a mobilizing a clause that will be mobilizing things that might distort or being abused in the process of implementing the act. So the members were saying that at the time department thinks it's ready to establish this, will then start the process instead of putting it now in the act. I just wanted as so the department means that they are saying it must be put it now, because I don't understand I understand what DD Chain is saying, but the issue is it's saying for the fact that it's not a something that is needed immediately, therefore you don't have to put it in the act, but your explanation tell us that you need it now, but it was out of the direction and discussion that the department were responding to this issue. Let me get to other members on this matter, and then we resolve it. We go to another matter, because we must be structural today, so that we're finalizing this matter. Let me get Hans that wants to speak to the issue, Honorable Powell on the issue, Honorable Powell, followed by Honorable Doctor, followed by Butas, followed by Honorable Herra. In that order, finalizing this matter. Non-profit company.
Chair, sorry. My hand is up, Chair, in your list.
Oh, okay. Honorable Squire, you'll be the last one.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I've got a comment on section 39, 31, and 40. So thank you for the feedback and thank you for the clarifications from the legal department. I just want to start with section 39. I am not sure why we've had a further discussion in committee on the rationalization for section 39, given that on Wednesday, our committee achieved consensus that this clause must be rejected in its entirety and that reflects in the A list. I'd also just like to speak to a number of the points that have been raised by DDG Cheney without reopening the argument, given that our committee has achieved consensus that we are rejecting this clause. The examples that were given of structural defects that have arisen in housing developments that were built prior to 94, dolomite, asbestos, etc. Those public sector housing offerings where there has been negligence or where projects have been built using asbestos, there are existing government programs using grants that are given to us from Treasury to undertake the necessary remedial actions. Further to what DDG Cheney has said, one cannot insure retrospectively. So a recipient who holds a title deed for a state subsidized house that was built on dolomite and is therefore structurally unsound would not be able to, in terms of a non-profit company that offers an insurance for the purposes of risk-based insurance, be able to retrospectively insure 30 years into the past. So I think that to a large extent that renders a lot of what the DDG has said as a motivation nullified. Moreover, we agreed as a committee that people are absolutely responsible, homeowners, whether those are people who hold title deeds to state subsidized housing or entirely self-built private sector housing, individuals in a capitalist social market economy such as ours are responsible for taking out their own insurance. And it is available. It's extensively available by mortgage lenders, by insurance companies, all sorts of players in the financial services sector. So we're not, section 39 cannot be rationalized as filling a gap in the market because that gap does not exist. Insurance companies provide exactly what section 39 aims to provide, and they do so competitively because of the number of offerings that are on that are in the market. The point of the committee, and I think it's where we achieved consensus, was that we don't agree that it's necessary at this point. We therefore don't believe that we need to include it into the legislation at this point. And until such time as a feasibility study can be conducted on the necessity of government duplicating a service that is already extensively provided for in the private sector and competitively so, we will be leaving this provision out of the bill. So on section 39, I think that the rationalization that's been given by DDG Cheney doesn't necessarily stand up to scrutiny. Then on section 31, Natasha, we had requested there
Honorable Powell,
on the approvals.
Honorable
Yes.
Powell.
Yes,
We've
Chairperson.
said we're finalizing the issue of 39 first, and then we'll go to those
And
issues.
we'll go
We're
to the
taking them
other.
one by one. Yeah.
Okay.
Honorable.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Doctor.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I think you took the words out of my mouth. Essentially, I think the crux of what I needed to communicate is exactly what you said. I think we had consensus and on Wednesday, and I think we all explained. I don't think there's a need for us to go over. I actually just wanted to say what you were saying, that we have justified why we as a committee feel Section 39 should be out. I mean, it still stands sensible, Chair, that we formulate laws for reasons known, because should we need to open up the risks of what we have seen before with entities and NPOs, etc. So I think we really are justified in the stance that we take as a committee, and I'd like us to retain the consensus decision that we made on Wednesday. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Powell, we can change sometimes and say, now this is how we move. As a minority party, sometimes tactically you must listen to the majority. But nevertheless, I know Chair, she would want to say I'm out of order. I think department, your reasoning is not convincing us for now. Let's remain with what we have agreed. But I think your reasoning, in my view, that could be determined by annual plans. We can support that. Sorry, Chair, something disturbed
We
me.
have missed.
I think
missed you. Can you
I was saying
you
that
repeat?
that could be taken care of annual plans and project formulated in relation to what DDG was saying. So let's remain with it outside. Because what the DDG was saying, there is a need. And if you look at that need, it comes in different forms. It comes in the form of emergency, it comes with plans and all that. But what Member Powell is missing, Member Powell talks as if there was no apartheid in South Africa. The houses that are affected by dolomite are 99-year lease. And she can't come here and jump on a conclusion of saying that there are insurances that would cover that. Please, she must think before she says something. And she must also know that how insurances came up, before 1994 and post 1994. So this matter, those people that are affected by 99-year lease and other areas of injustice of apartheid, this government will intervene as and when there's a need to intervene. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Harold.
Chairperson, I wanted to speak on another section, so I lowered my hand.
Thank you very much, Honorable Harold. We agree that in essence, we are not against. Who's that?
Mr. Choi.
Oh, Ms. Choi, I'm sorry, my dear one, sorry. Hey, your hands is not visible here.
Hey, I don't know. How can I rectify this? I've tried. Thank you, Chair. No problem. Chairperson, I think the DDG, what's the DDG's name?
Mr. Cheney.
Yes. NPOs are established by their formation and their designs. They are NPOs for social issues, for development, for psychological issues, and all those issues. They exist by their own intention. This is a bill of government that talks about houses. When a housing development is challenged by the beneficiary list, there are errors in the beneficiary list, and there are people that are claiming in Germiston that our houses were more than 500. Our houses that were allocated to us have been taken by other people. The department, structurally established, had a role to say, hey man, we are not structured to deal with these issues. We never thought these issues will happen. We might as well identify a mechanism outside the department to assist us. Just identify these 500 people that are complaining. There's an office there, there's a computer there. If you do not have, then you'll bring it to us so that we're able to address the issue in a manner that is well thought and well scrutinized. The department does that when it does not have a social facilitation unit within its structure. For it to be established here could be a problem. Is a problem because it should not say it should establish a non-profit company. It should be in any way to say it may utilize. It may utilize. You cannot say establish as if you're not sure about yourself. You're not sure about yourself and you may have risks that could come. You should establish a risk management unit in the department to deal with that. Not say I will give it over to some other people that I need to establish. NGOs of today are government departments by their own. And many of them have lost the non-profit issue. They are companies. So if you're establishing this, you establish a company within the department. So I want to agree, Chair, with the view that this clause must be taken out. The department has got a responsibility to say, we need an NGO. There are many NGOs outside there. Don't create a problem for you because NGOs are departments on their own. Get an NGO for a specific issue outside. They are there ready, want to be utilized by government. Don't establish them in the clause of the bill. I may have spoken a long, Chair, but I wanted to clarify the issue. If you identify a risk thing that you need to deal with, identify an NGO outside. Don't put it here because it means you're not sure about yourself. You are going to have a lot of risk. And they're going to say, hey, here's my NGO. Let me call it and use it. Don't do that. Thank you, Chair.
I think we're agreeing on section 39 that we're still maintain as the committee that this clause, we think it should not, we decide that it should not be part of the act. And we are not saying the department should not establish this non-profit company. At the time that they are ready, they want to do it, they will follow the processes as outlined in the PFMA, and then they would move from that stage. We cannot accept any clause that actually will create loopholes for being abused by anybody in the system. We are doing this legislation for, we might not be people that were implementing the legislation. It might be somebody else who might see the opportunity to abuse the clause that is in the act. So that's what do you call it? That's the gist of the matter. Why we're saying this clause, we are still feeling it must not be it must not be in the bill. So can we then go to the second issue and our legal team, as we finalize issues, things that were finalized, please, they must not come back because I don't, it's just that I didn't want to say, but why this thing did come back when we have agreed? We're referring to things that we have said lawyers must go back and discuss. Those that we have taken a decision on, we've taken a decision with that.
Chairperson, we can't hear you. Can you, Chair, you're breaking up.
Okay,
No,
I'm saying
maybe
that
it's your line, man, because
We
she
can
is
hear you
here.
fine, Chairperson.
We can hear you very well, Chair.
okay, thank you very much. I was saying things that we're agreeing, things that we're debating now are those issues that we said, let the lawyers and the department go and look at these matters and bring them back. This matter will finalize it, but because it has brought here, I had to give members of the committee to talk about it, but there is a decision on this matter. So we're going to another matter that we said it must go back for the for the department and the legal teams to deal with the matters. We can be guided by you, legal services of Parliament.
Thank you,
Chairperson.
Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Zeki.
No, I think they've presented already, Chair. So that's one
No,
member
I'm
Powell wanted
saying
to move.
I want us to resolve them issue by issue, because when
Oh,
you
yes.
probably when you engage in non-structural manner, that's why things come back here, even if we've resolved them.
Okay.
Yes. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, so the A list that was flighted by Kaliswa, you may want to flight it again, shows the insertions that the legal team has inserted based on members' concerns at the last meeting. So the A list has what we've inserted. And so I just want clarity in terms of the way forward. Do the members want to discuss the A list insertions, or do the members want to deal with the issues that were not inserted?
Chair.
Yes.
I think the problem came when we had to deal with the list and also want to visit concerns that were raised. Because the issue of the NGO came in the form of that concerns, and you are correct to say that is why I also kept quiet, because we motivated enough. I did not expect that to come. Now, those concerns, the issues such as the application, the time frame of the applications, are concerns which were raised. Now, where are we? What is it that we want to do? If we are going to be structural, let's get exactly where we've amended and just agree, disagree, and move. I think that is one can sponsor for now. Thank you.
Chairperson,
Um,
can we go back to the first two explanations, please, that were given by the department and the legal services? The one was on the timeframes and the other was on the fees. Can we have a discussion about that, please?
they are saying it's part of the list.
It's not. Section 31 and section 40 no, they're not part of the list. I'm looking at the list in front of me. No amendments were made, and that's why they gave the reason that the amendments weren't made. And that's what we need to still talk about. Section 31 and section 40. One was on the minimum period for approvals. The other was on the 3 sets of fees.
But the bill has got the registration. That's why they are saying they are on the bill. The issue of the registration is there on the bill. You have suggested that they must waive the what is it, what do you call it, the small alteration that should not be registered with the with the council. And Natasha's explanation, it says, but in that case, if it's not registered with the council, therefore, and when something wrong happened, the consumer would not be able to be assisted by NHBRC. I think.
Okay, my question actually isn't on that. I don't want to get into substantive things now because I'm asking you a question of clarity. The legal services have given us 3 explanations now. They started with 31, they moved on to 40, and then they gave over to Cheney to do 39. You opened up for discussions on 39. The question that I have to you is, would you please open up for
So
discussion
I'm saying the
on
legal
31
services,
and
they are
on
saying, yes, Honorable Power, I'm saying the legal team, they're saying those other issues, they are there on the A list. So we
Section
can
30
discuss
and
them.
section 31 and section 40 are not on the A list, Chairperson. You're looking at the A list. There's no 31 on the A list because no amendments have been made. There's no 40.
No, but there's no agreement that there should be any amendment. The issue is that as we discuss the A list, well, then when we arrive at that point, you can then come back again to say, because they are saying they gave reason why they don't amend. They didn't amend.
So after we've gone through the A list, then we can raise those. Okay,
yes. Okay. Can you take us through legal service?
Chairperson, Chair, can I just it's DDG Cheney, Chair.
Okay.
Chair, I just want to place on record, Chair, around the communication that I've received from Member Powell, in which she indicates that in my motivation that I raised, that I'm speaking political nonsense. Chair, I understand the separation of powers. I thought I must just place that on record. And particularly around the issue, and I take exception to the fact that a member of parliament says that I'm talking political nonsense. And I think it's just important that I must be clear, and I think the committee must be aware that nowhere in the submission that I made this morning to the committee did I use the word retrospective application of any of the work of the NPO should it be established. What I did do was I demonstrated and provided evidence around some of the issues that have come up with regards to structural, technical, geotechnical matters. That's the first point. So there was motivation for around the fact that yes, there's this historical inheritance that we've had, and therefore in going forward as a country, we need to look at some of these things in that context. I want to also then place on record some of the other points that have been made in the SID. That this is it. You are talking the biggest load of politically loaded nonsense. Sasria cannot be compared. Private sector doesn't cover what Sasria does. Private sector covers what in Section 39 intends to do. Now, I would suggest that Chair, that the respective members.
DDG Cheney, members of the parliament are being protected if they talk to members in respect. If you feel they are not respecting you, you can do the same. I'm not going to protect them. Anybody who actually disrespect meeting and when people they throw back I'm not going to protect anybody to do that, because nonsense has been declared as it's not in the parliamentary rules as a language that cannot be used. So, but I'm saying, if you interact with the members, if interact with officials or any invitee in the meeting, and people use the language that hurt other people, when they fire back or they respond back, they must not expect any protection from the chair. I will allow those people to respond the way they would respond, because you don't respect other people as you speak. So we have noted that, Mr. Cheney, but in terms of parliament language, there was a rule. We've been complaining about it, and it says it's not language that cannot be used in parliament. But if people are misrespecting, you feel misrespected, you can fire back, and nobody will be protected by the chair. Yes, Honorable Zeki.
Chair,
Chair,
hear,
my hand is up, Chair.
Can we do it differently, Chair, probably? Member Powell and myself can do that. But for Member Powell to do that to a staff, it's another matter, Chair, which I would propose that, can we go back to the rules and check on whether when a person like Comrade Cheney raised a concern on how the member have treated him, how do we deal with that? Because I want to agree with him. Anything that it's said to do them being a rhetoric or nonsensical political statements, to me, they can say that to me, and really it will be a debate. I won't even raise a concern. But if they say to a staff, I take offense as well, Chair. Thank you. But I would propose that, can we go back and have a look in terms of how the rules work in relation to political members and staff? Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Chair.
Honorable Zeki. Honorable Sufai.
Chairperson, thank you. On the same vein on what Honorable Zeki is raising, I think this is our meeting, which is insulted by one of the members, in particular a politician, who is supposed to be maintaining a decorum of this particular meeting, who's supposed to respect the chair that is in the chair and respect even us and the members that are in this committee in session. Honorable Powell, Chair, I don't dispute what Honorable Zeki is raising to go and look for that. He's supposed to apologize in this meeting. This is an official, regardless of his senior or not senior. She should portray a seniority in a meeting of this nature and be respectful. Now, if that is said in this meeting that is in session, Honorable Powell, I would propose sincerely, Chair, that she must apologize to the DDG. It cannot be. Our fights are our fights. It needs to contain our political fights, not to transfer them. to officials. She must speak to us the way you want to speak to us. We'll deal with her. So I do want to, Chair, for the sake of tranquility and peace, that if she believes she has done something wrong, she must apologize to change in this meeting. That's my view, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Sifai, let me give, I don't want us to defocus what we are here to come in for, because this is for the second time. At some point, I've said Honorable Powell must withdraw. In this meeting, he refused. If you remember, it says the words doesn't mean any harm in terms of the rules of parliament. He has been saying this word frequently. So, and and when we had a meeting with the Western Cape, when the councillor was saying the Department of Human Settlement, they are talking nonsense. It was Honorable Powell who said that the councillor cannot say that to the officials. Today is doing it to another officials. I want to take it that let's let me finish these hands that are on the list, and then I'll rule on this matter. Honorable Emma, Honorable Powell, and Honorable
Thanks,
Chris.
Chairperson. Thanks. I think that this discussion is moot, given that none of the comments that have been raised have been said in Parliament today. So if you can just let me know what exactly it is that you're wanting me to withdraw in terms of what I've said in the House, I will abide by your ruling. I haven't at any point today in Parliament used the word nonsense. There are a number of officials in the department who frequently send me private WhatsApps. They give me information, they give me intel, they point me in directions where I need to go and solicit responses to questions. The concern before the committee is the deliberations that take place by members in Parliament in terms of
Chair,
the rules
can you
of
own your
Parliament.
meeting, please?
Now, if
Member
there's
Powell
anything
is
that you'd like
out of order.
to,
You have made
there's
a
anything
ruling.
that you
I'm
want
not
me
sure
to
what
add
this Member Powell is doing.
Honorable Zeki, allow Honorable Powell to finish.
Chairperson, if you would like me to, if you would like to go back to Hansard or anything that I've said in committee today and point me to the rule where I'm out of order, please do so. But I haven't used any of these words in committee today. So this discussion is actually quite moot. I frequently have members sending me messages in private communication. It's not in public forums or on parliamentary forums as well. So I think that this is a very separate, before Parliament, DDG Cheney is referring to a private one-on-one communications between myself and him, which we frequently have, and were not brought before Parliament. So that's my submission. Thank you, Chairperson.
No, thanks, Chair. I have been in this meeting and I listened very attentively.
Okay, thank you. Losing you. We're losing you.
You are losing me.
We're losing you, Honorable Chris.
It's another load shedding. It's fine. I wanted to. Can you hear me now? Yo, it's load shedding. It's fine. Comrade Chair, continue. I will have to drive out. It's fine.
Yes. Honorable Malemacha.
Comrade Chair, let me not waste. I know it's load shedding. Let me rather drive somewhere. Then I'm just pleading that I wanted to know where this thing happened. Was in this meeting or was in between the two honorables? Because the issue here, if it was in between the two, we will have to limit to bring issues that happened outside into the meeting. In the meeting, Comrade Chairperson, it will be tantamount to labor abuse. It is very wrong that as honorables, we can be seen using strong words to workers. Didi is a worker, we are honorable, we are here to protect them. Where 16 days of activism, as men too, we do complain of being abused. Let's refrain from such so that we are able to protect each other. Thanks if I'm here.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malimata. All the members have given you chance to speak on this matter. I didn't hear what nonsensical political statement. Can I then request that with the help of the staff, we'll get to that and then we'll present it into the next meeting.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Let's proceed. Legal team from Parliament, take us through the A list.
Thank you, Chairperson. Lisa, could you, thank you, just move the screen for me?
Okay.
Clause 2 on page 8 from line 17 to omit subsection 5 and to substitute the following subsection. 5, notwithstanding the provisions of this Act, the Minister may, after consultation with the Council, in exceptional circumstances, A, on application in the prescribed manner, exempt a person or a home, or B, in the public interest by notice in the Gazette, exempt certain persons and homes belonging to a category or class specified in the notice from the provisions of this Act, either generally or subject to conditions as may be specified in the notice.
Agreed, members, on clause 2.1. Honorable Tseki. Tseki, your hands
Chairperson,
up.
sorry, take time to connect. Chair, my point was on the area. I'm not sure whether we are talking the same. I didn't know the clause where it was said if a person is not registered, of course, can't claim. Now, but there's a point where my advocate said, but the liability of the contractor, it's not removed, even if that contractor is not registered. Now, the question is that, is the NHBRC going to assist the person to claim even on an unregistered contractor, or that person is
So
going
that's
to
clause
take...
still with the registration. We're still on the application of the Act. Can we then?
Okay, sorry, Chair. That's
on-
why I'm saying I did not mark the clause. Thank you.
Okay. So do you agree with the clause as read?
Yes, Chair.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let's
Thank you,
go
Chair.
to the, okay, let's proceed.
Clause 7, number 1, on page 9 in line 29 after office to insert, taking into consideration representativity, expertise, and previous performance. 2, on page 9, in line 42, after expiry to insert, within which period the minister must appoint the replacement. Thank you, Chairperson.
Clause 7.
Chairperson,
On clause,
Chair.
clause 7, yes.
Can you have the bill? Can you have the bill?
Members, can you then have your bill? You have more than
On what
3.
is trying to
No, honorable members.
Let the bill be in front of us.
Honorable members, you have the bill in your other gadgets. Can you open the bill as we say clause 7 youth? Because we might lose these issues.
Can
that's
it be
supposed to
flighted?
be said. It cannot flat at the same time when we are dealing with those issues, with the issues that needs to be corrected. Can you open your bill on the other gadgets, honorable members?
We are away from our homes, the chair. We don't have all the gadgets here. But let's continue. We'll listen.
The screen is one. So if we flight maybe there can be a screen that I'm not sure whether we have that capacity to have a screen flight in this build this site and then they close those areas that needed to be inserted the other way. So
Let's continue,
I'm
Chair.
not sure.
Let's continue, Chair. We will try to make plan in our mind.
Yes. Do we agree with the clause? The clause actually it was the issue of replacement of the councillor, member of the council. We said it should not be left open. There must be a period that we give the minister to finalize that replacement. So do you agree with that?
Agreed.
Thank you, Honorable Harold. Seconder? I don't see any other hands. Honorable members. Do we support this, Doctor? This is your issue and you're supposed to support it. Dr. Kumal.
Support it, Chair. Agreed.
Thank you, Chairperson. May I proceed?
We're going to remove it and sorry, can I finish?
My apologies.
Legal team. Members, if you don't support and second this matter, we'll revert back to the old issues in the bill. If you are not, because this A list is to incorporate issues that you have raised yourselves. And if a member is seconding a person who has raised this issue is not even seconding, then it's becoming a problem. Let's proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Clause 11, number 1, on page 11 from line 2, to omit subsection 1 and to substitute the following subsection. The board, A, holds meetings at such times and places as may from time to time be determined by the board, and B, must hold a minimum of 4 meetings annually.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed, members?
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Annual.
Agreed.
Clause 15. On page, may I proceed?
Yes.
Thank you. Clause 15 on page 13 in line 29 after council to insert as determined in terms of a job evaluation system approved by the board. Thank you.
Can we get the seconder for this issue?
Agreed, seconded.
Agreed. Thank you, Mr. Heron. Seconder.
Seconded.
Thank you very much. Let's proceed.
Thank you. Clause 16, number 1 on page 13 in line 34. After,
Seconded, Chair.
Hey, you are seconding very late. Your system is bad. Okay, let's proceed. Clause 16.
on page 13 in line 34 after the word for to insert only.
Agreed.
Clause, sorry, my apologies.
Clause 6. Yes. Members. Page 13 in line with 34 after for to insert only.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you.
Clause 32
Clause
on page 18 from line 2.
I'm not sure whether it's my system. Can't hear you. I can't hear you. Legal services.
Chairperson, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You can,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry,
proceed.
Chairperson, I paused for a moment because there was a member trying to say something. So my apologies for the pause. Clause 32, number 1 on page 18 from line 2 to omit subsection 1 and to substitute the following subsection. Number 1, a MEC or MMC or his or her delegate must ensure through oversight compliance with this act in relation to a subsidy or social housing project.
Chairperson?
Do you agree with the
Chairperson, may I
Mr. Heron?
speak? Yeah, Chairperson, I'm sorry I missed Wednesday's meeting, so I don't know if this was discussed and this proposed amendment was agreed by the committee, but the original bill had directives to the MEC and the MMC in respect of releasing funds, which was quite a positive.
Mr. Heron?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Chairperson,
speak,
can you hear me? Yes, Chairperson, I'm trying to speak. Okay, sorry about that.
Speak.
Yes, I was saying that the original draft of the bill and provided directions to the MMCs and MECs, which were quite robust directives, not to release funds, etc. This replacement now dilutes that potent tool because it seems to want to retain MECs and MMCs. I don't understand why we have not redrafted section 32 so that it's the accounting officers who cannot release funds. I don't mind if there's a clause that says that the MMC and the MEC must exercise oversight, but to replace the directive that funds cannot be released with just oversight doesn't make sense to me. I'm struggling to understand why the drafters do not want to hold the accounting officers in municipalities and provinces accountable. And now it's diluted to MMCs and MECs must exercise oversight, when the original 32.1 was a much more powerful tool to make sure that there was compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Harold. You are suggesting that the same, you can have this clause, but the same clause which was directive to MECs and MMCs should be inserted, but the directive should be to accounting officers. Is it what
Yes.
you are suggesting?
Yes, Chairperson, I thought that was a very good clause. And you
Okay.
recall that I proposed only that you proposed that it be changed to the HODs or the municipal managers. Yeah, I mean, I think you
Okay.
supported my proposal. So we've
Mm.
lost the potency of that directive by just saying MMCs and MECs must exercise oversight. We can keep the oversight obligation, but the directive that only properly appointed, properly registered companies are involved in subsidized housing, and the directive that funds cannot be released unless there's compliance, those directives should stay in the bill. Thank you.
Okay. The proposal is that we bring back that clause, but we remove MMCs, MEC and MMCs and put it accounting officers, and then but add this clause. Any other view?
I want to agree with you and the latter speaker, Comrade Chair.
Okay, agreed. Thank you. Did you get it, the lawyers?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Noted.
Okay. In that clause that was directive to MECs and MMCs, we change it to accounting officers, and then the clause, and then you then insert this other clause. We don't remove it; it add on that one. Clause 39 is the one that we have just rejected. Clause 41.
Thank you, Chairperson. On page 20, in line 53, after the words must, to insert subject to section 42.
Chairperson on Powell.
Yes, Honorable Powell.
I think I raised, it's just an administrative thing. I think I raised in committee on Wednesday that the page numbers on this A list don't correspond to the draft bill. Clause 41 begins on page 40, and the clause that is being spoken about is on page 41. So it's not page 20 in terms of the draft bill that we've been sent. Just for anybody else who reads this A list that's not in committee today, they'll be a bit confused if they look at page 20, because page 20 is still, I'm just looking, page 20 in terms of the bill, sorry, it's in front of me, is section 9.
Can you get clarity what happened? State law advisor.
Chairperson, if I may.
Yes.
In terms of the bill that I have in front of me, it is in line with the A list. And I'm speaking on behalf of my colleague, but he can come in if I'm not correct. But in terms of what he would have in front of him would also be in line with the A list, because this was drafted by the entire legal team. So I'm not entirely sure what transpired with the copy that the Honourable Member Powell has in front of her. But from where we stand, everything seems to be in order in terms of numbering, clauses and pages.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bill that was sent by Koliswa ahead.
Koliswa, can you send the proper bill to Honourable Powell?
Can other members just check, because all members were sent the copy that I have. It's not a substantive issue. I'm just concerned that when this is published, that it may be of concern to other people who have the same copy of the bill, I would be happy. Housing Consumer Protection Bill, Parliament, it's dated 15th of November. So it was sent to us 10 days ago. And it's a Word document. Maybe you guys at the legal services have a PDF document, and maybe that's what's causing the issue. I think the A-list is published. It's not a major substantive issue. It just could cause confusion.
Chair, we work on the introduced version of the bill, which is the PDF, Chair, which has line numbers, and it's got an ISBN number. So there is no mistake, Chair. We know what we're working on. It's the PDF version of the bill that was introduced. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. That's why I'm saying I don't know what's happening with the copy. Members, do we follow the discussion around this issue? Do we have the same challenge?
I've
as,
also got the same copy that Member Powell has got. I'm not sure if we can get a copy of the one that the officials have. Thanks.
Hello, Chair.
Yes, Kolisa.
Yes, when I forwarded the bills, there was a Word version and the PDF. So now we are looking at the PDF version, of which it was forwarded to all the members, the PDF and the Word. But now we are concentrating on we are working on the PDF version. I think I've forwarded this to all the members in 10 days ago, as Ms. Powell has indicated earlier on. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Both members have received the Word copy and then the PDF. Now the one that is utilized in this meeting is the PDF.
Thanks, Chairperson.
Can members say? Do you agree? Yes.
You were muted.
Who muted me? Because my microphone is on. I was saying that thanks for the clarity. I think honorable members now understand. Maybe we should have explained that now we are using the PDF before we start the meeting, so that we don't have a problem. Can we then proceed?
Thank you, Chairperson. Clause 80 on page 33 from line 34 to omit section 80 and to substitute the following section. If an agent of a person is liable in terms of this Act for anything done or omitted in the course of that agent's activities on behalf of their principal, that principal is jointly and severally liable with that agent.
Thank you very much. Members on this matter? 80.
Hello.
We're proceeding on in the bill, and if you are the mistake, we'll remove it in the bill and the wait.
No, Chair, I think
If
this
the-
one is that issue of defining an employee, which the department and the legal team removed the employee from that liability. So it's fine. I'm fine with it, the manner in which it's
Honorable
crafted.
Seki, I didn't give you.
I was cut also.
But I was cut off probably. What are you saying, Honorable Zeki?
No, Chair, I saying I'm agreeing with how. So this bill, this part or clause tells us that that liability that was assumed to be also inferred to the employee, it's no more there, is the contractor or the agent, which I'm fine with it, Chair.
Chair, if I'm audible, I will want to support Comrade Zeki. I've gone through it, Comrade Zeki. Now I'm satisfied. Then if you are satisfied, remember you are the one who had those issues, which I think they are now cleared. It's fine. I also want to support. If I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Can we get the seconder?
Seconded.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we
Clause
then
80.
go to clause 88?
Thank you. Clause 88. On page 36, from line 52, to omit and to substitute a semicolon. On page 36, after paragraph H, to insert the following paragraph. I, prescribing the manner of service of notices of any documents required to be served in terms of this act.
Chairperson, my apology. Are they reading it for the second time? Because last time we didn't change anything on these ones. So in other words, we agreed.
Yes, Honorable Zeki, this is we're adopting the A list. We're no longer going to talk about the A list. Now we'll, after this agreement, if after adopting the A list, then we are going to into the B list. So we're adopting the A list in its totality.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Can you proceed, ma'am?
Thank you, Chair. On page 36, in line 4, to renumber paragraph I to be J. On page 36, in line 5, to omit council and to substitute board. On page 36, in line 6, to omit council and to substitute board. On page 6, on page 36, in line 10, to omit council and substitute board. On page 36, in line 12, to omit council and to substitute board. Thank you, Chairperson.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, proceed. Is it the last one?
Yes, Chairperson.
Chair,
Yes. Who's
this is the
calling
State
me?
Law Advisor, Chair.
Yes.
Can I ask your indulgence, Chair, that we possibly adjourn for a few minutes just to work on Honorable Heron's proposal, so that you dispense with it as well in the adoption of the A list.
Okay.
just before they work on it, Chair, there's something, man, which I think if it can't find its expression here, it could be referred to the regulation. But probably the legal team can look at it. Chair, I think it was our discussions the first, not this Wednesday. There was an issue I think Comrade Chris referred to as residential inspectors. These are municipality things. I think our discussion then was we wanted to check the relationship of residential buildings and the NHBRC inspectors and how they can work together, the synergy of working together. So I was saying that if the legal team can look at it, but if it can't fit, then it can be referred to regulations. Thank you.
Legal team, as you go and finalize that clause of from Mr. Heron, you should then be looking at the clause that deals with inspectors. How do you oblige that NHBRC inspectors work with the resident inspectors? How do you make sure that the act tighten the issue? Then we'll how
Can
many
I-
minutes
can
do
I-
you want? Okay, Ms. Troy.
Can I ask a question on really exactly on the issue that you are raising? Maybe, Chair, the issue is inspectors are within the boundaries of the municipality inside the department. What is the procedure on the house that is being under construction on phases it grows up and to a finish? A relationship between the inspectors and NHBRC. Who approves first? Who has got a final say when the house is finished? I just want to get that because my worry is that a house has got stages. Is it approved when the zinc is up? Or is it approved during the wall or during the foundation? If we can get that clarity, and then so that we get a well-structured, qualified house.
Okay. That's why we are saying the legal team, can they look at that? And then when they come back, will then be able to close it properly. If they can just look at the clause that deals with the inspectorate, and then see how they incorporate the resident inspectors without taking the powers of the NHBRC, because their responsibility is to provide the quality assurance. So they'll come and they'll explain it when they come back. Honorable Powell.
Chair,
There's
I
something
just wanted
else
to
that I wanted to raise, additional to what I've just raised. You can take me after Powell, no problem.
No, go ahead, Nancy, while you've got the platform. I'll speak after you.
Chair, there was a clause that was raised, which was clause 25.3. I've been many times kicked out by the network where I am. It may have been discussed and I didn't hear. Clause 25.3 that talks about developers, home builders, whom could be registered but do not get job. Something of that nature. I don't have the bill in front of me, but I noted that. If yeah.
Okay, Honorable Powell.
I just wanted clarity if the Legal Services Department are going back to make amendments to the A list so we can finalize today. We still haven't spoken. We still haven't spoken to those two sections, section 31 and section 40 that came at the beginning that aren't included in the A list. When are we going to have an opportunity to speak to those? Chairperson, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you like me to repeat my question?
that the one that Natasha has responded to. Honorable Powell, you are
Yes.
referring those that, yes, but we have not agreed that they must be
There are
changed.
still further questions and inputs in respect of those two
Or you want to ask
chapters.
questions? Yes, ask the question, because we have not agreed that it must be changed. We cannot insert them.
No, but there are questions that as a member of this committee I have.
That's why I'm
Yes.
saying ask that clarity.
No, we
Ask
haven't
your-
agreed that it must be changed. I agree with you, but there were issues.
We've lost you, Honorable Powell. I'm losing you. I'm not sure whether it's my network.
Sorry, Chair, I got kicked out of the meetings. I've just re-entered. Can I proceed with my questions?
Yes. Yes, proceed, Honorable Powell. Honorable
Chairperson?
Powell, proceed. Proceed.
Okay.
I can hear
So
you.
I just wanted to find out Natasha's responses. So section, thank you. Sorry, there's a network issue. I had to re-establish my connection. So on section 31, the committee, a number of us had mentioned the issue of the act requiring a minimum approval period from the perspective of the council. I wanted to ask Natasha, she had mentioned in her submissions that the act that governs the NHBRC at present has a minimum 90-day approval in it, and that it's not been included in this particular bill. If it is included in the previous bill, and I just want clarity, is that what Natasha was referring to? Because she spoke about the current legislation having a 90-day approval. Why can it not be included here? We've seen, let's look at, for example, the PPRA. With the Fidelity Fund certificates, there's a minimum deadline and time period by which once documentation is received, the FFCs have to be issued by. And it's enabled private sector and industry players to hold the entity to account where agents aren't able to conduct their business because bureaucratic challenges in that entity have delayed the issuing of PPRAs. Now, the members of this committee were concerned that especially small to medium scale building companies may not be able to pay their staff and move ahead if there are delays from the council in terms of issuing the necessary approvals. So my questions to Natasha are, is it not possible for us to keep that 90-day period? If not, why can we not keep that 90-day period? And then you spoke to the applicant being responsible for filing all of the requisite documents. That could easily be accommodated by saying from the point at which all necessary documentation is received from the home builder, the council has got a period of 90 days within which to issue approval. I'm just worried, Chair, that we're not going to be able to, the sector isn't going to be able to hold the industry accountable if it takes, 6 months up to a year, 2 years to issue an approval. Then on section 40, which was the other rationalization that was given by Natasha and the legal advisors, Natasha had said that one of the reasons that these 3 fees are necessary, the once-off registration fee, the annual fee, and the enrollment fee are necessary is because previously there were no appropriations from the fiscus. And so these fees were necessary in order to fund the operational costs of the council. But this bill will change that because in section 34, we've introduced explicitly the provision that the funds of the council may consist of money appropriated by Parliament. So meaning that the fiscus or Treasury can indeed fund the council. So it's not the same. We can't compare apples with pears. Previously, that wasn't the case. Now that is the case. So the rationalization that these 3 fees are needed, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that is necessarily the case, because now the entity is going to be able to have an appropriation from Parliament plus these 3 fees. And I think that it was the Honourable Tseki, Tseki, who had raised his concern around what happens when you've got a builder that doesn't do any building works for years. Why must they still have to pay an annual fee? It's just, I think that those things haven't been tightened up, and there were concerns not just expressed by myself, but by a number of members of the committee. So if we can just have further clarity on those 2. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Powell. Mr. Malemaza.
Thank you, Chair. Natasha, when she was dealing with the application, I think Honorable Powell touched it, but I want to extend by saying it be emphasized that once everything in a form of envelope meet the requirement, it must be a must that there's a time frame on that. We cannot have a situation where we are saying it depends on the application, and yet the applications are here, the other document is not there, then there's no notification to that applicant that here is it, we want to have a time frame. I think that will be just be a scapegoat. We are referring to a situation where everything is being submitted, and the time frame of 90 days, we must also take into consideration. To me, it's very long. At some stage, these other entities, other sectors that are working on shortening this time frame, and here we are prolonging it as if we forgot that, especially in the department that we're dealing with it. Say, for an example, is towards the May, June, July, where everything, the cement, the building material is going to be increased. And yet we try to let this thing overlap. I think, Comrade Chairperson, we must try by all means to be at work and be serious about everything we're doing, so that we be seen being relevant when responding to this. I will suggest that we also look on the question of 90 days to be specific, to try and say, let's shorten it so that it be relevant to the application. And we agree that once everything is registered on that particular day, it must be done within the time frame that we are going to agree upon it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malemaza. Honorable Tseki.
Chair, I hope I'm not out of order. Chair, the issue that is raised by Member Powell, indeed, we agreed with her around the time frame. But the legal team says to us, this matter is managed in the, I don't know whether should I call it policy or regulation of NHPRC that talks about 90 days. So it's not lost in my view. Thank you.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sifai. Yeah.
Yeah, can I speak to the issue that I raised? Okay. In the section 25(3), there was, I would say, a concern that says, even if we have registered, we do stay for quite a long time without getting a job, which presupposes that there should be flexibility, that there should be a time frame for us when we've registered to get a job, which could not be the responsibility of the Act in doing that. What I just want to raise, Chair, is that the Act is trying to control and protect the consumer, that everyone who must be given work should have been registered, which means uphumile entunjeni yenaliti, because there is a very clear criterion that needs to be used to assess you if you can do the job to the quality that is needed. So it's not going to be the bill, the act that's going to say, you have registered them, but you're not giving them job. When are you giving them job? That remains in the administrative processes to deal with that, and the skills of a home builder to engage whoever is giving work. When are you giving me work? But this cannot be released, be flexible, because we want to protect the consumers to have well-registered, qualified, professional developers and home builders. So I just wanted to check what was the issue about this, because this cannot be relaxed. And Funu was saying we are listening to complaints of the builders and want to relax what is our responsibility in terms of the act. Thank you, Chair.
Let me allow the department to respond. Start with Masemula, and then the legal team will finalize the response.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I think Honorable Tseki covered it rightly, because when Natasha indicated, she was saying this matter of how many 90 days it's been put on the rules, I think, which indicates, which goes hand in hand with the act. Even in this instance, you will still have regulations and rules that will assist to make sure that those kind of detail of how things goes, of limiting days and all that, it will still be included in the regulations, so that we are able to have that kind of time limit of when is the NHBRC or rather council expected to have resolved the issues. Yeah, I think that's the issue that we are raising.
Proceed.
Thanks. I think I'll pause there and indicate that indeed we'll meet and on the issue that was raised by Honorable Harold and come back. I'm sure about 30 minutes it could be enough for us to resolve that one. Thanks. Maybe we may allow Natasha to come back and clarify it further. Thanks.
Natasha.
Thank you, Chairperson. Indeed, I want to confirm with what Mr. Masemola has indicated. Chairperson, it's provided currently for in the rules. And therefore, Chairperson, when rules and regulations will be drafted, more detailed information or timeframes will be set out there, Chairperson. That's not the issue of the timeframe in terms of section 31, 1B. Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, am I audible?
Okay. Yes, we did hear you. I did hear you, unless if members they didn't hear you. Honorable Malemata.
It should be a legacy hands, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And I hear, Chair, on that I raised on 25/234.
They are going to respond to that
Okay.
Yes. Can we then finalize on this matter? The issue of the time frame is there. It's captured in the regulation as even in the previous act, it was not there, but in the regulation, it's 90 days. Agreed, members?
Agreed. Agreed.
Any seconder?
Agreed. Seconded.
Thank you. Seconded, Mr. Honorable Heron and Honorable Malematsa. Thank you very much. The second issue on the registration, which included Mesli's issue.
You?
Thanks, Chairperson. Thanks, Chairperson. We understand that there are challenges at some stage, but we maybe might also indicate that since the inception of the current act, I think the registration would have been registration fee and annual fees would not have been changed since that time, even up to today, which would have been the registration fee would have been 750, and the renewal fees would have been 600 annually up to now. Because I thought maybe I must just indicate of how much are we dealing with currently. And I'm sure the belief would have been that since this issue has been raised, it's something that would always be taken into account when issues of the rates of the renewals or the registrations are being determined, taking into account the economic situation in the country and all those kind of things will be taken into account. It will not necessarily be increased even when it's increased in a manner that might be affect the small contractors or home builders negatively. But it may not be correct to stretch it for 4 years or say for 3 years, or because you know the intention is to register for that year. So also the intention also is for a home builder to get work when he's registered. So we're avoiding a situation where you would have someone who's not registered, or to a certain extent cause the council not to be able to execute its function because we would have reduced the capacity of raising funds, because we expect that the one that comes from parliament appropriation will be enough. We would not, even now, we are not sure how much will be appropriated, but the reason for introducing also the appropriation from parliament is because with this mandate that the council is having, it is important to have more funds to ensure that it's able to execute its mandate. And that's the reason why I still believe that it's important to keep it on an annual basis, with the understanding that even previously, this amount would not have been raised in a manner that should be detrimental to the small contractors. Thanks.
Natasha, you want to add?
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, Mr. Masemola has covered it quite extensively to indicate, Chairperson, that the fees have been 600 Rand for the since inception of the NHBRC, Chair, which is very low, if I can put it that way. And Chairperson, just to add, I understand, you know, in the comment made by Honorable Powell in relation to the money that it will be appropriated by Parliament as is provided for in Section 34 of the bill. Chairperson, with that, one must also, you know, bear in mind that the mandate in terms of this bill has also been extended, Chair, to issues that are currently not covered. And therefore, Chairperson, it may be appropriate, Chairperson, in relation to that money, but that will be appropriated from Parliament. But at this stage, Chairperson, you know, it's unclear as to what that figure may be in terms of, and whether it will be sufficient, Chairperson, to fund all other operations in this regard. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Members, your views on the matter? This is a policy issue, it's not a legal thing.
Chair, it's Honorable Powell. I think that both myself and the Honorable Tseki have been clear about raising our concerns in this committee about the financial impact on small home builders. But that said, you know, we don't have the financials and we're not responsible for the financial operating model of the entity. And we must therefore be guided by those who do. I really do think that it would be useful for us to try and find a way to reduce the fees that small scale builders have to pay, especially in light of the introduction of an appropriation from Parliament. I don't think that I have anything further to add other than that is my recommendation. Possibly other members of the committee have something to say. I know we'd spoken about maybe a financial feasibility. I know also that the surplus of the fund, the warranty fund, is going to be used for developmental programs, but the annual fee is also going to be used for developmental programs. So I'm not sure if possibly the surplus of the warranty fund could perhaps offset annual fees for small scale builders. There must be a way to reduce contributions, but as I say, I'm not the financial expert here, and so we must be guided by those who are, and I won't make any further contributions on this. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable, thank you. We've lost him.
No, it's okay, Chair. I think let's take it for now. I think what we are observing is that we should note probably in the minutes, if this can appear, we should note that when we do acts, we tend to form a focus on legality, but some legality has got some financial implications. So unfortunately, the legal people would not necessarily talk to that. I think it's just a lesson, Chair, that we should take it back to our committee and see how best we can deal with this matter as we amend. I'm fine with the explanation from the legal and the department. Thanks.
Honorable Sikhwai, you had have the concern, you too.
I was kicked out, Chair. Is that the response from what I was raising?
Yes.
I hear Honorable Powell and Honorable Tseki. Are they commenting on what I was raising?
They are commenting on what the response was.
Sorry, Chair. what was the response from the legal people?
No, not legal people, the department to say this is a policy matter. The issue of registration, they are explaining that NHBRC has to, the mandate has been expanded, therefore this registration they need it for their assistance in terms of them executing their mandate. I would not explain word by word what they've said. And therefore reducing the fees would actually paralyze the entity to be able to do its work. That's in summary term. But there was an issue on the smaller alteration that Natasha, you have not picked it up, and Mr. Masemola, that home builders can be they should not be obliged to register those smaller alterations. And the last time as we're debating, we say what is smaller, and that clarity has not come forth. Mr. Masemola and Natasha.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Or rather, let me put it this way: the smaller alterations.
Can I, Chair? I thought I would respond on your explanation where you assisted me about me being kicked off when the explanation was made.
Okay.
I want to agree on what the department is raising. Just to say, if there's something else that developers and builders want to engage NHBRC about this concern, let them do that. It may be considered at another level, but the consumers. Thank you, Chair. Done, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Masemola.
Thanks, Chairperson and honorable members. The small alterations which can be excluded are those that you would not need to submit new plans to the municipality. But once you submit those plans, which shows that you are now changing the house, it means they are not necessarily small. Sometimes we may think other things are small, but once there is a need of you submitting a plan to the municipality that this is a change in the plan, then it means they should be covered. And section 2, subsection 5 does indicate that, I'm sorry. Clause 2, 1B indicates that part that it will be necessary only to enroll and that it will apply when you are compelled to be submitting the plans at the municipality. Thanks.
Okay, means that these smaller alterations, what you determine on, let me just be practical, Mr. Masamol. If a RDP house, for instance, the person removes the windows and replace with the big window. You know, this thing of front houses, we want big windows. Is it smaller or is it you don't?
Thanks,
if-
Chairperson.
Yes.
Thanks. I'll ask Natasha to come in.
Okay. Natasha?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, that question is, actually very technical, but Chair, Chair, I would think, that, just by replacing of windows, it may not necessarily, require the approval of plans and therefore would not, require such to be enrolled with the NHBRC, because at the end of the day, what the NHBRC covers the structure, Chair. So any changes that affects the structure of that building and that would have a structural impact on that building, would that have to be enrolled? And therefore, Chair, that would ordinarily mean that you would require plans if you make substantial structural changes to the buildings. But changing windows, Chair, alternatively, making some changes to your bathroom, which is minor renovations, no, Chair, that would not require enrollment with the NHBRC. Thank you, Chair.
Chair,
Honorable Malimatsa?
Natasha, I will be very much confused if you want to say changing of structure or tempering of structure is not technical. How it's not technical if the window which was there was 1.2 by 1.2, and what the chairperson is saying in this case, the bigger window that is coming there is 2.4 by 2.4. Obviously, the strength of the structure is going to be affected because the chasing and the cutting, it will also affect the hall itself and the brick force. And to even make things worse, it will require a lintel. Now, I'm saying we have to have a way of complying so that if we are really going to protect the consumer, must not have shortcuts in many things, because I can tell you what the chair is saying. I came across a number of alteration. It does not necessarily happen on one side. You'll find it's happening the entire front. And now it means the whole front is now affected one or another. Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson,
Yes,
wait.
Natasha?
Chairperson, thank you. I'm going to have a discussion with our technical manager. Unfortunately, he's unable to attend today, and I will revert to the committee.
Okay. Let's flag that that clause that talks about registration before we finalize. Yes. Legal team, can you take us through and see where we can because I'm trying to think whether the issues that we're debating, whether cannot be debated outside the act, or they can be, they have to be inside the act. If we have to engage NHBRC, taking what Honorable Tseki, Honorable Sky, and Honorable Powell are saying, does it have to affect the bill as it stands now? Can we go through that part, ma'am?
Thank you, Chairperson. Would you like me to just read through?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes, so that it can.
Sure. Thank you. Home builder or developer to be registered. Section 25. A home builder or developer who intends to undertake or to commission the building of a home, as the case may be, must, in the manner prescribed by the council, apply for registration as a home builder or developer in terms of this chapter. 2. A person, developer, or organ of state may not procure the services of a home builder or a developer who is not registered in terms of this chapter. 3. A home builder or developer may not commence with, allow, or instruct the commencement of the building of a home if that home builder or developer is not registered in terms of this chapter. 4. The registration of a home builder or a developer is valid for a period prescribed by the council. 5. A home builder or a developer must, on application for registration, pay the registration fee determined by the council in terms of section 40. 6. A home builder or a developer must, on the date of the anniversary of the registration of that home builder or developer, pay an annual or renewal fee prescribed by the council in terms of section 40.
Okay. Okay. So how then do we, if we want to remove the annual fees, and how are we going to make sure that those that are not small does not benefit on the matter? Because that's why I was saying that whether this debate must not be taken outside the process and see. Firstly, NHBRC has to cluster these developers and contractors. If a contractor is in terms of their grading system, as one chapter talks about the grading system, whether cannot be would be affected. But if we remove the annual fees, as entirety on the bill, those that are big, they're going to benefit out of that. How are you going to regulate them in the system? Maybe the members, as you have raised this issue, so that we help one another. It's a policy matter. Can it be debated outside the whole process, looking at the grading system of NHBRC, and start to say, NHBRC, is it possible? Or can we make sure that there is a category B or A should be arguing that English, but they should not be they cannot be assisted in terms of this renewal fee, so that, because we have an agenda to develop and assist them to grow. But if they have to register like any, they are equal, unless if the amount are not equal, like a big developer, whether he register more money or does he register like in terms of whether the grading or because the grading, which is informed by the by the work that you have done and the money that you have, whether it informed by that process. Members?
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Sifai.
I think you have raised a very important leading issues on this matter. what you see, you are saying is that to have a specific fee to the others than the others. The act is very specific and general as it is. But what perhaps should have been in the act, given the sensitivity in terms of our role at a political level, there should have been a clarity who is the developer and his and her capacity, financially and otherwise, and who is the home builder, who is the contractor. And then in that process, you are able to categorize them in this contribution of the registration and the annual fee according to their capabilities and their categorization, which perhaps is not the issue here, which we may not be able to say this one would pay 20 Rand annually, this would not pay, this one would pay 10 Rand, because we do not have that. Because the developer is a big, very big person who has got all the capabilities of development, who can employ more than many more home builders and contractors. Now, the act, the provision clubbed them together. It did not differentiate on the basis of their capabilities. Maybe something that we can consider, listening to the concerns, which are very relevant, that how does it happen that we pay annually and we're not getting a job and pay same amount like others? So I was just asking if could that be possible, that an official could categorize that and then we are able to come up with something better that is transformatory in terms of our views. Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson.
Very much. Yes, Honorable Power.
So this is exactly the concern that I've raised in terms of section 40, and it's section 25 and section 40 correlate. I have a proposal because we all have the same concern. In section 40, right? Sorry, I can't give you the page number because I'm looking at the Word document. But section 41, D, it says that any other fee which the minister authorizes by regulation, in addition to these 3 fees. Is it not possible that, as proposed earlier, we can address this via regulations by inserting either in 25, the legal advisors could advise, either in section 25 or in section 40, which speaks to these fees, if the minister, right, in terms of the existing clause, section 41D, which gives the minister the power to authorize another fee, is it not possible then to say that the minister may, via regulation, exempt certain categories of home builders from paying certain fees, and therefore the minister, on advice from the financial the CFO, etc., can determine whether or not it's financially feasible to exempt these small scale builders, and she or he can do so by regulation, because we've already empowered the minister to introduce any other fee via regulation. So let's empower the minister to exempt any other fee by regulation, and that way we address the concerns of all members. That's my proposal, Chairperson.
Chair.
Honorable Chris, and then Natasha, you'll come. Yes.
I want to open it this way before we come here. In some instance, like equals to SARS, if you can prove that you never work, you are exempted from paying the money. Then in this case, when I say I want to open, in this case, I want us to look on option where there was no work done, and yet you have to contribute to your monthly, your yearly fee. what will be harm if there's a proof that there was nothing that made an income that one can be able to pay on that? And if indeed there's nothing, then where will I get the money to go? And if it says if I don't pay, my what you call expires, how fair is it? Because it means the money that I'm going to start to get, I'll be starting the business so that I can come and pay. I just wanted to play with those with that when we construct, we have this in mind that somewhere it is permissible that where there was nothing that makes the certificate to be genuine and bring income, bearing in mind that others are new in the industry. They can be assisted that way. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, there was a question raised by Honorable Malamacha in relation to the works that are being undertaken and what is considered minor from a technical perspective. Chairperson, I have requested that one of our engineers please assist Chairperson. If you would allow me, can I hand over to him?
Okay, can we finalize this matter of registration? There is a proposal that as we have empowered the minister to to now that thing is gone.
It's to
As we-
introduce any other fee.
to introduce any other fees. There is a proposal that let's insert one word that says we must empower the minister to look into these categories of contractors, home builders, and can exempt them. They'll put it in a better way. Minister can then look at these developers and not developers, home builders in particular, small, let's just be specific, small, then can then be able to exempt them for paying annual fees. And they can then pay it. They can then pay it immediately if they got the job. It's not a compromising position. Can we get the department to respond on that one?
Thanks, Chairperson. I think we'll revert on that, but noting that the time that when you register, if you register now, you will be registering for 2023. So at the time that you are expected to register, nobody will know that you will not have work in the next year. So you don't register for the past year, you register for the year that you are going to. So it's something that might be very technical also. But I'm sure we'll come back after just the few minutes meeting that we'll have with our colleagues regarding, with the state law advisor and Parliament legal service.
Okay. We're talking of Imagine, not any other contractor. And with your register that we are going to establish, Mr. Masemola, I want to empower you as you go into the discussion. The register that you are going to establish, you must be able to categorize them, or the system automatically categorize them, those that level 1, there's 2, there is 3 level, there is 4 and 5, 6, construction end up at 9. If a person is at level 1 or 2, this is a person who wants to participate in the industry. As you said in your when we were dealing with the development of contractors. You'll continue, Abu Miscellaneous. I remember when you give this explanation that they are not having the certificate, they need to be helped to go into to have the certificate. I could imagine the mercenaries who has actually just passed today and then register with NHBRC with the hope of getting any small job or subcontract. This is a qualified mercenary, but it didn't have a company, and he has to register a company. He has to register with NHBRC, but is not sure of getting the job. So what we are saying in that categorization, then if you give the minister powers to say that Rosina has just entered the system, or Rosina for the past 5 years has not been given job at any given time, therefore can be exempted on the annual registration, depending, because your system is very good, because if you are not getting a job and you're not doing work and your finances becomes empty in your system, the grading system takes you down. So that's what we're members are trying to say. How then do you help these ones that are on the ground, that's supposed to go up the ladder? How do you assist them without using this registration becoming the obstacle for them to rise? So as you're going to discuss, you'll have to look at because it's a policy matter, as legal team have said. You can then advise us. It's 11:45. Mr. Malematsa, is the legacy hands?
Yes, Chair, let me withdraw it.
Okay. So we're adjourning, but how many minutes do you need?
Chairperson, it's Honorable Powell. I just have a question of clarity.
Yes.
I'm really sorry. I'm sitting in my office of Parliament and twice my connection has failed and I've had to reestablish. I missed the answer on the 90-day period. Can I just quickly, before Parliament services, legal services breaks, can you just please repeat what the decision was on inserting a time frame for approvals? My apologies, I missed the answer.
Okay. We said that because already is in the regulation, it will remain in the regulations, the time frame as it's been put in the regulation of 90 days. Yes.
Cool.
Okay. It's only 2 matters, then we're done with the A list. Can I then allow you, how many minutes do you need? We're in your hands, legal team and the department.
Chairperson, thank you. 10 minutes should be fine.
Okay.
Subject, sorry, Chairperson.
I'll add it with 4 minutes. Let's say 12 for 12, we'll reconvene.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned for now. We'll reconvene. Colisa, we're still going to use the same.
Yes, Chair, same link.
Same link.
Yes.
Because it's you members, so you can if it doesn't bother you, can remain within the system. Thank you. requesting 5 more minutes. sorry, from Parliament.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for the indulgence of extra time that was granted to us. There were two issues that, from a legal perspective, we wanted to address, and that was the issue of the fees. So we wanted to point the committee to Section 3 of the Act. Sorry, my apologies, Section 2 of the Act 2.5. I'll read it for the committee.
Put it through the system.
Elisa, are you able to flight it? Please.
Okay, let me check it. Let me check my email. I'm having a difficulty in getting one now. TG, can you check it on your side?
I'm gonna try and pull it up.
Okay, sure.
Is my screen visible to all?
You've got the wrong one, Tiloshini. This one is Postbank.
Oh, sorry, wrong book. My apologies.
Okay.
Do you want the amendments that we are just dealing with them, Tilo?
It's fine, Kaliso. I think I've got it.
Okay.
My apologies. Let me try and do this. Okay. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to try and do both of this. So we just want to draw the committee's attention to Section 2 of the Act, and specifically Section 2.5 of the Act. It says the minister may, after consultation with council, in exceptional circumstances and in the public interest, on such conditions as he or she may determine, exempt certain persons or homes from the provisions of this Act, but that exemption may not be contrary to the objectives of this Act. So we'd like to, as the legal team, just draw the committee's attention to this clause, which we feel talks to the concerns. In addition to that, Chairperson, we'd like to draw the committee's attention to Section 37. Just bear with me, please. (38.7), which says that the minister may, if an actuarial assessment indicates excess free reserves in the funds of the council, instruct the council to lower any enrolment fee prescribed by the council under Section 40. And then I'm just going to take the committee to one last part. Section 44, it says the council may differentiate between different categories of enrolment fees in relation to different categories of homes and different categories of home builders and developers based on grading status. And in this section, we propose that we delete the words enrollment, and it will then read, the council may differentiate between different categories of fees in relation to different categories of homes and different categories of home builders and developers based on a grading status. And these three sections cumulatively, we believe that would address the concerns around fees. Thank you, Chairperson.
Hello, Chair.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Members,
Recording in progress.
it's the feedback, and there is a proposal that they remove that the developer, which will then enrollment. Sorry, it will then deals with both the all the fees that home builders had to pay through NHBRC. Agreed? Are we still feeling that this issue is not captured?
Agreed. Chairperson, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are the parliament, because this is obviously our last A-list sitting, are the legal services able to quickly put that into the A-list so that we're able to conclude it, or will the A-list be circulated for approval by round robin, just so we can read on the A-list the exact wording? From my perspective, thank you to legal services for the very quick turnaround time, and agreed.
Okay. I thought we have done that, Honorable Powell, because we have been taking members through what you suggest that need to be incorporated in the A list. Immediately we finalized, agreed that this is the A list. Then we'll go into the B list, which will then come up with, as a bill having incorporated those issues from the A list. And then we'll, as members, deal with that. I hope I've answered Honorable Powell.
Sorry, can I come in?
Yes.
We've updated the A-list, Chair. I don't know if Koliswa is able to flight it to just reflect what was just discussed now, because there were two issues that you asked that we deal with.
Yes, yes. No, I just wanted to respond on this, on what Honorable Member has raised. I know that there are two. The other one is still on the prescriptive required for accounting officers instead of MMCs and MECs. So I wanted us to agree with the first one. The second one, we agree, members, with the response that we're getting from the team.
Agreed, Comrade Chair.
Thank you. The last one,
Chairperson,
yes.
The second issue we've incorporated, and we've added the definitions of head of department as well as the definitions of municipal manager to deal with the concern of the Honorable Heron. And it just reads on page 6, After line 13, to insert the following definition. Head of department means the head of department responsible for human settlements in a province. 2, on page 7, after line 25, to insert the following definition. Municipal manager means a person appointed in terms of section 82 of the Local Government Municipal Structures Act 1998, Act number 117 of 1998. And in line with that, we've kept as suggested, as proposed by the committee. We've kept the one part and we've added the second part as proposed. So clause 32 now reads on page 18 from line 2 to omit subsection 1 and to substitute the following subsection. A head of department or municipal manager or his or her delegate may not release any funds in relation to any housing project unless the requirements of this act have been met in relation to that project. And 2, on page 18, after line 13, to add the following subsection. An MEC or MMC or his or her delegate must ensure through oversight compliance with this act in relation to a subsidy or social housing project. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable members, are we covered? Honorable Harold?
Yes, Chair, I'm satisfied with that redrafting and thank you very much to the legal services. So I would support that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any seconder members?
I'd like to support and also extend thanks to the legal services for the exceptional work that they have done. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. That was the end of the aid list discussion, and I'm not sure whether Honorable Powell has asked question that are we going to see the entire list. I'm going to ask Colisa to scroll it so that we then formally adopt it. We've been adopting clause by clause. Colisa, can we or Legal Services of Parliament? Can we put that A list, the entire list, and then we adopt it formally? Let's start from this page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. That was the last page. Can we get the mover for the adoption of the aid list as from the members? Can we get the mover, members?
I stand to move adoption correction.
Honorable Malimata, stand to move. Honorable Heron.
Seconding.
Honorable Heron seconding. Thank you very much. We'll now allow the legal team to go and incorporate the A list into the entire bill, which will then now call it the B list. Legal services. Am I right? Parliamentary legal services.
Tloshini. Sister.
Yes, Chair. the committee secretary chair will be in communication with the printers to incorporate the amendments in the introduced version of the bill. Chair. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the legal team for taking us through this process, and the department for availing themselves to responding to clarify members on the bill. And I hope all of us were happy with the contribution that we have made, and the bill will then move for the next step. And thank you very much, honorable members. I know that we've denied you the Black Friday. I'm sorry. We had to do this A list and finalize with it. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.